We are live. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We are so happy to see you here on Monday Jumpstart. I am Marianne with Happy Paper People, and if you've been with us for a long time, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday at Jumpstart. It's our favorite day of the week. If you are a new viewer or a new subscriber, we welcome you. We welcome you to join us on Happy Paper People Facebook group, where it is a safe place to post your creations. Does one of you have a YouTube open?
I just
You did. Okay, perfect. You got it taken care of. I don't hear it anymore. Yeah, we love our Facebook group. It is a wonderful family of people, and it's a great place to be able to post your creations in a safe place and receive positive inspiration, motivation. We love to inspire and be inspired by one another. So let's say hello to everyone who's here. Hey, Christy. Christy's behind the scenes. Yes, it is a pain day. So sorry. So sorry to hear that. It is for a number of people, and maybe it's the weather. There seems to be a lot of weather going on. We've been having thunderstorms every day. Margie! Yes. Welcome, Margie. Remember to smash the like button. And if so inclined, be a joiner. Please be a joiner. We would love to have you join us. Margie started our super chat right off the top with $50. We certainly appreciate you. Margie, we appreciate you so much for that. Yes, definitely take it easy, Christy. Glennis is here with me on the panel. And Sarah is here with me on the panel.
Hi.
And let's see who else is. Well, I don't see anybody else in chat yet, but they'll be here. We've got 8 people in so far. So if you are watching but haven't jumped in chat yet, maybe you're cleaning or creating or doing dishes, whatever you're doing, as soon as you can, jump in chat, say hello. Even if that's all you have time for is to say hello. And then just have to, lurk in the background watching. That's okay. We don't mind. We just love to say hello. So I'm excited about today's make. This is something that I think is going to be fun to use even as a card on a scrapbook page and in a journal, whether a junk journal or a straight line journal, doesn't matter. I see lots and lots of uses for this. And this is a super cute faux envelope. So let me show you a few. So it looks like a regular envelope, beautiful paper, little button as the closure up here. When you open it up, that's it. It is a faux envelope. Now this one has tuck spots right here. So you could stick a card in there. You could use this as writing space if you glued this down in a journal, or if you tuck this in a tuck spot, this could be the writing space. You could just tuck coffee dyed paper in here that you pull out and write on in the journal and then put it back in here for storage. Here's another one. This one, I love the lines on the paper. You could use the lines right here to write on, and then left these as tuck spots as well. And you could stick ephemera in there. Now, this was the original. This is the original. The original did not have tuck spots. So you could write right here. This is a holiday one. So you could use this as a Christmas greeting card and write your sentiment in there. It's got some stickles around here showing the little triangles, but there's nothing additional. So like I said, no tuck spot there. Okay, so there are dozens of variations of ways you can do this. And I've done a few of them and have, a ton more in my head. You'll be looking at it and you'll be thinking of different ways that you can do it. So this one, I did a little bit of outlining with a fine point marker. So you could stitch it on your sewing machine. You could draw stitches, or you could draw the outline, because I was thinking, well, this one is in stickles, so what if this one is just in marker? And again, this one has space that you could write on, no pockets. Okay, then there's this one. This one also outlined. This one had the little pockets there. And then, you know, as we make these, you're going to see you get these little triangle offcuts. Thought, well, why not make a double tuck there, a little double pocket? So this one actually has 2 pockets on each side, just using the offcuts. Okay. And then, of course, I had to make a mini. Thinking of Margie. Love envelopes. I do too, Margie. Faux or not, they are faux or no, they are awesome. Here's a little teeny tiny one, and we could go even smaller. And this one, of course, has, nope. Did I not leave that? I thought I did. I thought I left it as a tuck spot. Maybe I didn't. Oh, because it has lines. And so I thought, well, that would be the writing space right there. But we could make a little one, leave it open as a tuck spot, and fold up a teeny tiny piece of paper to go in there. They're just adorable. Now, right before we went live, let's just waited on here to help stay down so that the button could dry. Right before we went live, I made this one really quickly because my thought was it would be a great place to hide a gift card. And so I made one for the size of a gift card to go right in there. And there's writing space on it there. And tuck the gift card in. Okay, but you can make them any size you want. So what we are going to do today is start with, and don't get the glue keep the glue right at the edge so there's room to slide it in. We're going to start with this primary size, you know, the main size, and do that. And then you can work down from there. I can give you the dimensions of these that I made. We can look at how to figure other dimensions. But looking at just the basic, let's see, we'll do this one. Now, here's another thing to look at. The first one, the inspiration one, had one piece of paper. It is single-sided, so it's got the snowflakes on the outside. The inside was white. So then we opened it up, put the offcut of that on here, solid green here, and then something else in the center that's just inked. It was white, just inked to match. So that is one piece of paper. Now this one has a piece of white cardstock as its base, and then on the back, this is glued on. The entire thing is glued on. So that is already double thick. And then this is put up here and this is put down here. So you see the white. If you like the white as a border, you can use white cardstock. You could even cut these to have white border there and there. I wanted to cover the seam, just the fold, just to give it strength. So this one is actually double thick. Something like this one, this is a double-sided piece of cardstock. And I liked both sides, so I did not cover the back at all. I put this here specifically so you could write on it, but then took a piece of the offcut and put it up on the top on the inside, which just gave it a little more design there, and offcuts down here. So this is single, this is double. You kind of you could make one of each and then kind of decide, do I like it this weight or that weight, or sometimes one, sometimes the other, because sometimes you want it thicker, sometimes you don't. Okay, so this one, I took the single piece and then cut to size for the inside, cut to size for the top. But then what I found as I opened and closed it, that the seam started getting a little bit weak. The fold, I keep saying seam. I felt like the fold was getting a little bit weak. And so I just put a cool matching piece of washi on that, and that was that. You know, it fit right in and took care of that. So you can do that any which way you want. This one is a solid piece back here. Again, the fold started to crack on this one, so I put the piece of washi on there, matched just fine. Solid piece back there, but took an offcut and did the center, and then a totally different piece to layer, a couple different pieces to layer in here, and then the corners that are offcut for here. So this one has multiple layers as well. And then this one is a single sheet with the offcut cut up here. So you can see how you can make it thin, you could make it thick, you can, you know, really do that any way you want. It can be double strength, it can be single, especially if you've got some really thick cardstock, then maybe you don't need or don't want, anything else on it. And if it's double-sided and you really like both sides, maybe you don't want to cover that at all. What I do kind of like doing is picking, these are some of the ones I used for those. I like picking a couple of pieces. Like here's some pretty, little bit of glitter on them too, which is nice. I like the butterflies as well. Here's a matching kind of solid color. And here's a third one. So I would use, a solid and a print or two prints. And then here's a grungy Tim Holtz type, 2 or 3, 4 that can be. This was my original inspiration here, was this page off of a Stamperia paper pack. And looking at these envelopes and thinking about what to do with them. That's kind of where that started. I really like those, so I don't really want to use that. Same thing here. I might use this half, but I really like those envelopes. So I'll set that aside for a minute. But if I use one, even the solid as the base, and put one color or design on the back and another one in the middle inside, or match that to the inside and then put the contrasting one or coordinating one inside, it all looks like it comes together, but it's not so much overload of the same color, the same piece of paper for the whole thing. So I'm going to use this bright one. And I like to make them with a whole bunch of different types and colors, so they'll go in all different kinds of journals or fit with all different kinds of people. So first of all, I'm going to decide which one do I want to use as the base. And it's not super thick cardstock, so I will probably cover it. So I'm thinking I'll use this pink as the base, and then I can cover it, put on that or the butterflies, and I can put on some of the green. The green is single-sided, so that works. All right, so I'm going to use the pink as my base. So we're going to start out by cutting a rectangle that is 5.5 by 8 1/4. So if there is a design and you want that design, if I want this to be my up and down envelope so that it folds like this, if I were going to still see the design, then I'd want to make sure that I cut the 8 1/4, which is the height of it, going this direction, and 5.5 going this direction. So I'm going to start by first cutting off my branding strip. And you can pull out a big trimmer. I love my little trimmer, and I tend to use it more than my big one. But okay, so I want 5.5 wide. And I will just cut the whole sheet down to 5.5 wide. And I want 8 1/4 tall. Well, my paper trimmer is only 6 wide, so I am going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1/4 would be right here. Okay. Now you can see that this is a perfect, good piece to do a lot of a lot of things on others. So, all right. So I'll just leave this here and work on that. So now we have our rectangle that we're starting with, and we need to get the right angles, and we need to get this folded. So here's the super easy way to do that. And well, the easiest way to do that will be, once you've made one of these, keep one or make one out of chipboard as a template, just a rectangle like this with this. Then you can set it on any piece of paper and draw your point there cut it out, and you're good to go. So, but because you don't have one of those, all we're going to do is say, this is 5.5 wide. Get it right to the edge. We know that this is 5.5 wide. And I don't know if mine's cut very straight. There we go. So we need, the point would be the center. So half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. So we are going to go to 2 3/4 and make us a little mark. Okay. And then we know that that's our point. Where's the point over here that we're going to make that cut with? So we need to mark this at 2 places. We need to mark it one place to fold and one place to cut to. So I'm going to mark from the bottom up. I don't know why I did it that way, but I did. If I mark it from the bottom up and I mark it at 4 1/4, now it's 8 1/4 tall, right? So if I take off that quarter and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 at the 4 mark, and then I'm going to keep going from there, and I'm going to mark it at 6. That would be 4, 5, 6. Okay, because it's 8 1/4, you got to start at that quarter or subtract that quarter when you get up there. You could go up to 6 and then come back just a quarter. Make sure I wrote that down right. Yep. Okay. So starting from the bottom, I made a mark at 4 1/4, and I made a mark at 6. And then I'm going to flip over to the other side. I'm not going to flip it. I'm going to move it because I need it to be facing the same direction. And I'm going to make a mark at 4 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. And I'm going to make another mark at 6. So those 2 marks should be exactly opposite of each other right there. All right. So let's cut our point first. And that is from our point up here to the first mark, which was at 6. And I'm just doing, I know some of you like to measure everything and know exactly, which is why I'm doing these measurements. But this is the simplest way to do the measurements. You've got those 2 marks, just line your trimmer up or take scissors. I just don't do very well with scissors. Y'all know that. I don't cut straight with scissors. So if you cut from mark to mark, mark to mark, you've got your point just fine. And if you've got any pencil still on there, no big deal. You can just erase it. Okay. So now the next mark down is the mark that we folded at. So you can either just fold it over or you can score it. That all depends on maybe how tough your paper is. If you feel like it needs a score, let's see if I can find a scoring tool that would help. There we go. If you think your paper might crack, if it's feeling super dry or it's really thick and you're afraid it might crack, or if you by experience know that it cracks, just give it a tiny spritz of water, not very much, just enough to make it moist. Not even moist, just, tiny, tiny bit. And then going to go at that mark and score that, and then fold that down, and there we go.
That's at the 6-inch mark, right?
That is at,
or the 4 1/4. I mean,
that is the 4 1/4. The 6-inch from the bottom, that's at 4 1/4.
Yeah.
And the 6 inches where we cut, point to the 6-inch mark.
Yeah.
So I'm going to erase my pencils. All right. So now we have our yay mini dinner thick, kind of like spaghetti sauce, right? We don't care. We just like it.
Sarah's having trouble hearing you.
Who is?
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, is your volume up all the way, Sarah? You might want to double check that. iPhone's acting up, can't hear a word, only twanging. Oh, okay, that makes sense. You could check and see if your volume is up all the way, but if it is, and you're not hearing anything but twanging, then yeah, go to YouTube where you can actually hear what's going on. That would help a lot. Okay, so we've got our basic shape here. And now we want to look at what we want to do with it. So that pink is going to be my basic there. I want to add the green, and I want to add either the flowers or the butterflies. Of course, these flowers have butterflies. So I think I'm going to put these flowers and butterflies. Let's see here. I'm going to use the green on the bottom down here, like that. And I'm going to put the flowers and butterflies up on the top. I think that will be pretty together. So I can look at the bottom, and again, I'm just looking at the simplest way to do things. If I look at the bottom here, I can tell that it is 4 1/4. I knew that because I marked that at 4 1/4 to score, right? But that is 4 1/4 high by how wide? The same width as we started with, 5 1/2. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you want to leave a border, I don't, because there's a lot of different print on here. So I'm just going to cover the whole thing. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is the piece of paper that I want to cover the bottom. And let's see, we've got all this design. I wonder if, not that you have to figure all that out, but I think I'm going to try to take it right out of, I'm going to cut this right in half. I'm just trying to place the design, that's all. Okay, so 4 1/4 tall by 5 1/2 wide. So if I do this 5 1/2 wide, okay, and 4 1/4 tall, there, then I've got a pattern that flows there, and it's not kind of off wonky. Now, if I put this on and it's a little too large, I can trim around the bottom or around the sides. What you want to be careful of when you glue this on is not to get so close to the fold that get into the fold and then this won't fold. So bring it right up to it, but not over the fold. So once you glue it on, make sure you have plenty of room for this to fold. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that one down. That's a good idea, Margie. Just make 2 pieces the same, cut the flap off one, and glue parts and pieces to the first one. Yeah, great idea. Which is why with one piece of 12 by 12, double-sided, and especially if it's not the same print all the way around that piece, if it has variety like this, like it's like a seam, you can take one piece of 12 by 12 and make a couple of them and have look like you have 3 different pieces of paper. Okay, so I'm going to fold it, make sure it'll fit up in there, press that down, make sure I'm to the edges. I am, and I feel like it's a little bit large, which is fine, because once that's dry, I'll just cut this off. Okay, so that's going to be the inside there. And then what about the top here? I could leave that like that. That is pretty. Maybe I will do that, and then I'll put the butterflies on the outside. That will be pretty. Okay, so And again, rather than measure everything, I will often just do this and make it the easiest way possible. And so you could take this and you could, with a pencil, and cut that right out, or even easier, I'm going to glue it to this flap. So I'm just going to put the glue on the flap, and I'm putting the flap down. Now, do I want these flowers to show, or do I want the butterflies? I think I want the flowers to show. So I just put glue on the flap. I'm going to glue it right down here. Make sure my edge is lined up. I'll bring the point up to the edge so I don't waste any, even the little bit on the top. If this edge is lined up, then I'm good. All I have to do is cut these two off and there, and across the bottom. Easy way, easy peasy. I know, and if you want to measure and figure and all that, please feel free, but I really like to do it the simplest and easiest way that I can get more done in my time. So there's one. All right. And see if I can do this without cutting my envelope in half. There we go. And one more. I got this side. And I can make sure it's straight by lining up over here on a line. There we go. Okay, take the last triangle off. There we go. Okay, so I've got the inside here. Now, oh, pretty. Yeah, I like that. Got the butterflies and the flowers on the outside. And I could leave the pink there. It all coordinates. I'm going to trim up this bottom that was just a tiny bit too long. And that side, same thing. I can't cut straight with scissors. I do way better with trimmer, even on small things like that. So if you're good with scissors, you can grab your scissors and do that. You don't need a paper trimmer. You don't have to have a paper trimmer. Okay, so now I can look at this and I can decide what do I want to use as corners. So I could bring, I've got these two cuts right here, which is what I would typically use. I've also got these two. So if I use these, if I use the flower, and I can put them upright that way and leave that space in the middle, or I could flip them over and put them long way where the point meets in the middle and they go across the bottom. And when I put that down, I've got that little strip of green in there complementing, and it matches. If I flip them over, I would have the small butterflies. And it matches, but I don't think it, I think it looks a little bit busy, a little bit chaotic because it's not the exact same paper where this one is. The other option would be the pink or this one. Now, when it's open, this one matches here. Looks great. When it's closed, kind of hurts my eye. It just feels a little bit too busy. So I'm going to go with this one because when it's closed, it feels more cohesive. So those are the two. Now you could just glue them down like the original one. There are no pockets. You could just glue it down. This could be writing space in here and it's just the faux envelope, or you could leave them open as tiny pockets or tucks to put something in. I will do that. And I can put a piece of coordinating paper of any color or coffee dyed paper. I can fold it up like a letter, put it in there, and then That can be the writing space if I put it in a journal. Get that lined up down there. Come on. There we go. Okay. And the other one, I always put my thumb and finger on the side that I do not want glued down, because never fails while I'm talking, I will put glue on all sides. That helps to keep me gluing only what I want. All right. So there we go. Maybe a little bit too much glue. That's okay. Deal with that. Yeah, a little bit too much glue. Okay. All right. So there we have that. Now you could look at the back and you could decide, maybe you already know what this is going to be used for. And maybe you're going to glue this down, so you don't want to do anything there. If I glue that down, great. If I'm not going to glue it down, maybe you want some coordinating paper back here. Maybe you want to take a piece of this and put it back here, whether covering the whole thing or just a portion of it. That would be totally up to you. Okay. So then the last thing that I do to embellish it is find a button that complements it. And that's super easy. Just grab your buttons. Now, I'm not going to, you could sew on it. I'm not going to use a pen or a marker on this one because there's glitter and there's so much design. I would do that on one, let's see, like these where it's very light in color. And so there's not a whole lot of design going on. And so it kind of adds a little bit of design. That's where I would put that. So let's see what we have for buttons. I'm going to hold that down for a minute. Button. Let's see, a rose colored, maybe a dark green. Ooh, even a blue or purple, sparkly. Actually, where'd my box go? I don't want to dump these on the table because then I have to pick them all up. So if I dump them into a little box, they're much easier to get back into the jar. So let's start with that and see what we have. Silver and gold are always good options. Oh, that one actually has a flower on it. That would be a pretty option. Oh, look at that. There's a flower. It is a green. It's kind of, what do you call it? It's not fluorescent, not iridescent. It's translucent. It's kind of translucent. That might be cool. And then I might even take an alcohol marker and color that in a little darker. That would be pretty. There's a knot. I'm going to keep that one out because I do like that one. There's something else. Who's making along with us? Anybody making with us?
Me.
Yay. Oh, sure, Sarah. The measurements for this one are 5.5 wide and 8 1/4 tall. So 5.5 inches wide, 8 1/4 inches tall. And then once we have that rectangle, from the bottom, we measured up and marked at 4 1/4 inches and kept going and marked at 6 inches. The 4 1/4 is where we fold, and the 6 inch is where we mark and cut from point to that 6 inch side. And the point is 2 3/4. That's just half of whatever your width is. So you can see how easy it will be to figure out any other size. Let's see, don't want the nautical. I like that. I like this flower one. It's just so light, but I think I could go over it with an alcohol marker and, oh, look at that. That's a black one, but it's got a flower on it. That's kind of cool. I still like the little one better. Let's see. Is everybody else fucked over which button to put on
It only took me 3 times.
like I do? I just want just the right one for whoever it's going to be for. I don't even know yet, but I want just the right one. That's a pretty one too. I like that one. Okay, so if your button is plastic or metal and it has a shank on it, that's not very easy to put on here. I guess you could make a little hole, stick that shank through it, and glue it on. That's kind of a pain. So I just take a pair of, these are needle nose pliers, but the only thing that's important is that there's a wire cutter piece on there, and just get that shank down into that cutter part, and then just squeeze that and cut the shank off. On the plastic ones, it cuts right off just like that. On the metal ones, it'll squeeze in, and then you kind of have to bend it back and forth just a bit to make sure that it is, or to get it completely off. And then you might end up with some little sharp pointy bits here. So on the metal ones, I'll grab it and pinch it like this, and it kind of brings those in a little bit. I don't want to destroy this plastic one. So I always put this on with Fabri-Tac anyway. It seems to, or hot glue. This would be a perfect place for hot glue. And so if I'm using hot glue or Fabri-Tac, I can make a whole little bubble of glue that kind of encases that spot where I cut it off. And it will just set into, come on, Fabri-Tac. There we go. It will just set right into that little bubble or dollop, a dollop of glue, and then that sharp spot won't be exposed. So I put a great big dollop on there. And then I'm going to set that wherever I want it. I'm going to put something on it just to keep that down. Otherwise, if it goes up a little bit, then the button's going to slide, slide and or tilt. And I'm going to try to keep the button straight. This is kind of a heavy little button. So as soon as it starts to, that glue starts to harden, it'll stay, and you can move it a bit too. All right, so I'm just going to set these buttons aside while we make some more. Poor Shank, I know. Poor Shank got squeezed right out. Okay, so let's make some more, and let's make them different designs and maybe mark around them. Let's make some different sizes, some tiny ones. This is a gift card size. We can do that. Where's the teeny tiny? No, it's not teeny tiny. He's little, but he's not teeny tiny. We could go even smaller than that. And in doing that, we can just use these offcuts here that we already have, or the piece of paper that we have cut off of, like continue this cut right here. So you can take those measurements, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2, and cut them in half. Just cut it exactly in half. And have the base for one that is going to be smaller. This one that holds the gift card and doesn't even have to be as tall. It is quite tall, but so there's plenty of room to get the gift card in. If you wanted to stick something else in there, you could, but you don't have to have quite that much room. But it's kind of a nice size for that. This one is 4 inches wide by 7, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4 by 7. So 4 inches by 7 inches is the rectangle that we started with for the gift card holder size. And if you want if you are interested in that and you want to write this down, even if you're not making it right now, 4 by 7 is the size for your rectangle to start. And you would make your marks, your first mark at 4 and, what is that? Say a 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's not right. 1, 2, 3 at 3.5. Make your first mark at 3.5. That's your fold line. 4, 5. Your second mark at 5, that would be your cut line. So 4.5 for your fold line. Get that a little closer. And 5 for your cut mark to get your angles. So you could take 3 pieces of paper and make 3 of these, cut them off, and if the 3 coordinating pieces of paper, you could use the offcuts for each other and just mix and match them. You can also take double-sided paper and do that and then just flip it over and use the other side for the base. So it's a great way to use up offcuts and scraps of all different kinds. Let's see, let's keep that out here. For the little one, if you are interested in the measurements of the little one, that one is 1, 2, 3, 4, and, well, 4 1/8. 4 1/8 tall. I'm going to probably work one just a little bit smaller than that even now to get even measurements. 4 1/8 tall, and it is 2 3/4 wide. I know how I got that one. I went exactly half. This one is exactly half of this one. So this is 8 1/4 tall. This one is 4 1/8 tall. This one is 5 1/2 wide. This one is 2 3/4 wide. So this one is exactly half of the rectangle of the large one. Does that make sense? Does it have to be shaped? No, absolutely not. Glennis has made 30 of them by now. Yes, I'm sure. It's okay. I'm going slow so I can get the measurements for you. It does not have to be a shank button. In fact, it's probably easier and better if it is not a shank button, because then you don't have to worry about cutting it off and it's standing up. Something that's going to sit flat. If it has holes in it and you want to run string through it and tie a little bow, that works great too. So let's take a couple of these offcuts. What do we say? This is half. So this is 2 3/4 wide and 4 1/8 tall. That should be, here we go. Yep. All right. And let's do one out of this one. 4 1/8 tall and 2 3/4 wide. Okay. So there's a second one of the same little size. All right. And then our marks. And if it were me, if I were you, I already have, I would just take a piece of chipboard and I would, sizes that you really like, I would just trace around it on chipboard, cut it out. On the chipboard, make the marks for these 2 points. And then in the future, all you have to do is lay that chipboard down, make the marks on your paper and cut it, and you're good to go. You don't have to remember measurements. Okay, so from the bottom, this is 1, 2 1/8, and 3. So let me mark these. 1, 2, 1/8, And did I say 3? 2 1/8. That can't be right. Let's just do this. Let's just do this. We've got it right here. Use it as a template. This one's, oh, I made this one longer. That's okay. It'll still work. Trust me, it'll still work. We need our center point up there. Your point is always going to be half. So whatever your width measurement is, just take half of that. That will always be your point. I mean, you could just measure one, how some people do tags. I can never do that either because they slide on me. But you could take the one and you could flip it over here and then cut the other one exactly the same. Like I said, I have a hard time with that because usually they're so tiny and they move on me, but that works. You could do that. And then we've got our fold point right here. I am not going to score it. I'm just going to fold it. And if that's my point right there, if this side is straight together, and you know, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, because this piece was a little bit larger, I don't want it to go down that far. So I'm just going to make a judgment call and move that up a bit. So I have that extra space down there. There we go. I mean, they're so simple and basic that you don't have to be perfect or precise or exact on anything. That's really pretty with the pink on the bottom. I do like that. So lift it up, and I could put some of the green on the inside if you wanted. I could make the pink. I could leave the pink there and then do some of this as our, where are my tweezers? So I can pick up some of these little tiny pieces and they stick to the mat. Okay, so we could do this. That's pretty. And then we still see that pink inside, which is also good writing space. So I'm going to do that. And just because I don't know what I'm going to do with it, I'm only going to go around the edges so that I can tuck something in, a little piece of paper for writing maybe in a small journal. If I wanted to later, I could stick a little more glue on it and glue them down. And some of the smaller buttons are nice on these smaller envelopes, but I think I'm going to go even tinier on the next envelope. Make a teeny tiny one for Margie. There's a video on making them that I made a while, but yeah. Yep. And you know what? I actually already filmed, I did record a tutorial on these that I will get posted this afternoon. I didn't post it because we hadn't done the live yet. So I will get that posted this afternoon. And it is short. So if you'd like to take a look at the video tutorial, you can do that. Okay, so just like that, we've got a cute one there. And let's see, smaller buttons are great with these. Little buttons, kind of any color, even white would be pretty because we've got a lot of color in there. Ooh, pearly white, that would be really pretty. There we go, pearly white. For that, I am going to set it down. I'm going to put the glue down first. And I'm going to set the button on top of it. Normally, I'd want to put some thread through that button, but I'm not going to take time to do that today. Okay. And we're going to hold that down so that doesn't go flying up. There we go. Okay, so then we have the green one. The green one is single-sided, so I'm going to cover the inside, let the green be the outside, cover the inside. Let me line this up here and move it just a little bit to the side so I can make the marks. There's my fold mark. There's my cut mark. Okay, and this is well, if I just do this, Now when I line this one up, I have to pull it down just a little bit so I can see the point. Mark the point. There we go. So I'm going to go point to the first mark. In the tutorial, I do give you exact measurements, but also showing you how to do it without measuring. I do one and then the other. And I'm just showing you how I do it because I like to have to measure as little as possible. I still want it to be straight. I still want it to fold right. I want it to fold right. I want it to be straight. I want it to be even. Make sure I'm in camera here. But I don't like to have to keep spending time measuring over and over. So when I can figure out little tricks and easy, quick things. Okay, so now I need something inside. So, that's white on the other side. Let's see. The butterflies would be pretty. And this is already partially cut. So the easiest way, again, I can measure and cut the exact same shape and then just put them together and hope that I cut it exactly right and my shape is perfect, and they fit. Or I can just put some glue on this one and glue it down. Make sure my point is at the point, the edge is at the edge. Then I'm using the smallest amount of paper possible. I don't like wasting. And all I have to do is cut around it. And now I know they're exactly the same. I don't have to wonder if they're going to be exactly the same. Again, the simplest, quickest. Get it in there a little tighter. I have to trim that up with scissors because I didn't get it tight enough. And over the glitter, it isn't going to cut. Okay, one more. Go. And last point. And trim this point up because I didn't get close enough. There we go. Now, actually, I could look at that and go, well, which side do I want to be the outside? I kind of like this side as the outside. But, you could do it either way. Trim up that little edge right there. Okay, so if I do that, I still have my fold line. Still have my fold line right here. And because I now have double paper, I'm going to give that a little bit of a score. Just because it's double paper, so I know that it might need help. I don't want to tear it. Let's see, trying to get as close as possible to where I folded. Okay, there we go. I think I'll fold this way. I like that. I like that a lot. I like the butterflies. Margie, the butterflies are for you. Could fold it this way. I like that too. And then I might even take a piece of this and put it inside here with the green being a border. But I think I'll go this way. Oops. And it's double paper, so I'm going to burnish it a little bit. And where are those teeny tiny? Those are green. Do I have any of the... Yep, I do, right here. The teeny tiny ones of the butterflies. That is the whole thing. So if I move it down a little bit, see here again, you can say, okay, if I do that, I can't see any. Oh, I can. Yep, I can. I can see a tiny bit of green there. If I want to see a little bit more green, all I have to do is move this down and glue it right there, farther down. Once it's glued, turn it over and just trim off that excess. Now, let me see which direction. I think I want to keep it in the same direction it was cut. And I think I like leaving a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger slot there for the green. So I'm going to put the tiny bit of glue or the lot of glue, really seeming to come out fast on this, out of this nozzle, faster than normal. Not sure why, but I can use that much on both sides, I think. Okay. I'm going to put I put it on there because I don't know exactly where to put it on here. I'm going to put this where I want, however much green space I want there. And so I didn't know exactly where that was. Now, once that's dry, I can just trim off that excess. I need a tiny bit more here. So I want that one to be the same. Okay. I'll give that just a second to dry. It's about all it'll need with our glitter glue. And then I'll go over here, and you probably can't really see it because it's the same color paper, but I'll just trim off that excess. And now I have that nice little green embellishment there. We could take a little piece of it and cut it to meet the shape of this triangle and put it here if you wanted, or cut a whole piece that met the whole shape of that, or on the back. So I'm just going to trim this off and then find there we go. Perfect. And then find a tiny little button. Let's see if there's anything right here. Oh, I do have a button jar that has all teeny tiny buttons. That might be what I should be looking in. Teeny tiny buttons. If there's nothing, oh, how about pretty purple? That's kind of pretty, but all the butterflies we see are really pink and blue. Go even smaller. Okay. Yeah, that's the same size as I had. There's some tiny ones there.
I'm doing a real tiny one here for Margie.
Yeah. Gonna go even smaller.
There
Let's
is about
go half,
a third the size of that small one you did.
a third of this. What were your rectangle dimensions?
Where's my ruler?
I'm gonna have to go to the tiny button jar.
2.5 by 2 1/4.
2.5 by 2 1/4. And this was 2 3/4 by 4. So I'm going to take a little piece of this. This is music on the back. I like that. And I'm going to do actually half of this. So if this was 4 1/8 high, I'm going to go down to 2 high by.
My finished size is 1 1/4 by 2 1/4.
By, okay. 2 high by 1 and what's that? 3/8. 1 3/8. Okay.
I'm just doing mine by eye. That's how I got those figures.
Well, I can do it that way, but there are people who are going to want the dimensions.
That's what you're for.
Which is why I'm given dimensions. All right. So there is 2 inches by 1 3/8. 2 inches by 1 3/8. All right. So my fold, I'm going to take that by eye just because it is so small. And I want to leave a little piece on the bottom. Okay. And once I have that fold, then I can look at where I want to cut. I want to go up a little bit. Let me first mark my center spot. If this is 1 3/8, then it's going to be a half plus 1 1/2/8. There's my center. You can also eyeball the center if you want. And up from here, I'm going to go at a half an inch down. That's going to be my point. All right, I am going to try to flip this over. Let's see if I can do that. That's not straight. Wait a minute. There we go, like that. If I flip that over, there we go. Why doesn't that work? They don't come to this. Oh, there. That's why. Okay. So there we go. So now let's make us some little corners. We've got some little corners with this. Can't even see the music now because it's so tiny. But if we put that down and we use that there, that'll work. I do really want to kind of try to leave it as a tuck spot. If I can get just the tiny bit of glue on the edges. I'd like to leave that as a tuck spot. Okay, and then this one. Oops, I wanted this one to go underneath that one, so. Hard to see, it is so tiny. Okay. Now, hope I haven't completely glued them closed. We will find out here. Okay, we got a little tuck spot there. And it's hard to keep that glue. Come on. Little bit of a tuck spot there. Not super deep, but there's a little bit. Get that side back down. Okay. So there we go with that. And a little piece of coffee dyed paper in there to write on would be super cute. All right. And then we need a little center. I like a little center right there. I'm going to look at some of these scraps that I have from the other papers that are similar to this. I can pick them up. I do hate to use the whole rectangle because that'll go on another piece. Okay, here we go. I think this might work. We've got that and that, and also that. And what's this one? There's that one. Okay, so we could cut the top out of that. We could cut out of that. I think. Let's see. I'm a little concerned about that cracking and ending up tearing. So I think I'm going to cover the whole back. But if I do that, then we don't have our matching. Okay, this is where washi tape comes in. I'm going to put a washi tape. Washi tape always needs, I could grab a really thin one, but washi tape always needs some glue if you want it to stay. It is not intended to stay. That is the literal definition of washi. It's in Japanese. It is a temporary tape. So let's put that. I'm going to bring it all the way up to the point, not to the point, to the end of the point right there. Okay. I'm only going to put it on the back. All right. That reinforces it very nicely. Okay. Doesn't look so good on the front. I like it on the back. So could also have taken a strip of this and just glued it over the top of it. I'm going to do a strip of this on it and then put some of this on the inside. So I'm going to glue this down right over the top of this washi, only on the front. It's going to be a strong little envelope. Still have room for a teeny tiny button. And I have a teeny tiny button. Might have to grab my tiny button jar. You could also, instead of a button, you could do a drop of Nuvo drops or Stickles or one of those types of products. Okay, so I'm going to let that completely dry before I trim off the top. Meanwhile, I'm going to do some of that on the inside too. So we have something that coordinates with it. So again, I'm just going to glue it down and then cut it to size. Make it the easy way. Go this way. Here we go. Make sure that it will still fold. If I get it all the way to the edge on one side, that's one side I don't have to cut. If it will still fold, perfect. There we go. All right, so let me first cut off this paper, washi sticking. Okay, and then let's cut point. Okay, so we still have our top red that matches. Now that matches the inside cover. We still have a little tuck spot where we can tuck, and we want a tiny little, more work than a regular size one. Yeah, plenty of journaling space, right? I agree, Margie. They are sometimes more work, but they're also super cute, very rewarding. I guess that's a matter of personal opinion. All right, and I don't know if there's any teeny tiny buttons in here. I might that, but that's not the right color. I might have to get my teeny tiny button jar, which I have. And then don't forget to post pictures in the Facebook group. Those of you who are making them, have made them, or will make them. Yeah, definitely post your pictures. I'm going to bring Glennis on so we can see what she's made. Oh, good. Nice selection. Yeah, don't forget to post pictures. I'll post a picture after I get a teeny tiny button on that.
I've got 6 made. I'm just trying to put the little ones so you can see how tiny the 2 little ones are.
Yeah.
Especially this one. It's even smaller than this other one.
There we go. Those are cute. Super cute. You want to open them and show the inside? Okay, cool.
Did mine, they're one-sided, so I just did very, very basic pockets, tucks on the side.
Okay. Pretty.
That one I had trouble. That one I was trying to leave a white outline and I didn't cut it very good. So that's on purpose, but it still doesn't look too great. This one I just put it on the top part and I can see now how uneven it is. I'll have to fix that.
That's
the little tiny one, it's got a little tiny bed.
That is cute.
Thing inside, but he's not.
That is very cute.
These two are still drying. I just want to fix that.
Cute. Now I'm wondering where I set my pin because I didn't put it where it's supposed to be. So, oh, that is Minnie. Plenty of journaling space. More word. Yes, yes, yes. Tiny circle punch and a black pen. There you go. Yeah, they like them. They like your teeny tiny ones. So, all right. So hope you all decide to make some of your own, whether they are standard size or half size or teeny tiny mini size.
They go very fast.
They are very fast and they are very fun. And you can decorate them in so many different ways. So super easy to make and very, very usable in a lot of different projects. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Oh, let me not forget to tell you, yes, the tutorial will be up this afternoon. So if you want to go back and look at the actual tutorial with actual measurements, it will be up. But this Thursday night, join us this Thursday night. We are going to do Tell Us What to Do.
Yay!
So, yeah. So if you want to tell admin what to do and some special guests, we have some special guests coming in with us this Thursday. So join us Thursday for Tell Us What to Do. And if you've never seen it before, trust me, this is one of our favorites. This is, well, I will say this is one of the fan favorites, the chat favorites. Maybe not always a favorite of those that are on the spot having to do what you tell them to do. But it is a lot of fun, and there's always a lot of laughter with it. So we'll see you Thursday night, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. You can figure your time from there. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us and have fun making these faux envelopes. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.